Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to this bonus episode of Empowered Within. Today's episode is Overcoming Adversity as an Empath and Highly Sensitive Person. This was my special appearance on the Woman Fully Alive podcast with host Madeline. We had such an amazing time on this podcast. I know that you are going to love it as much as the two of us did. So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and enjoy today's bonus episode.
Welcome, everyone, to Woman Fully Alive. I'm your host, Madeline Eames, and I'm so excited to dive into today's conversation with Jennifer Pilates. And I know that for all of my listeners, you're going to love what we're going to talk about today. So Jennifer is coming to us today from New England. And I think if you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, you're definitely going to want to stay, especially with all the energies that are happening in the world right now. So Jennifer is the founder of Empowered Body, Mind, and Spirit, and has been a leader in holistic wellness for over 24 years. She's got a lot of things going. She's an empowerment coach. She works in Pilates as a trainer. She's also an intuitive medium that I know interests a lot of you, and a Reiki master that I love. Jennifer blends movement, mindset, and also brings in spiritual healing to help clients unlock their fullest potential. And I know from Jennifer's story that you're going to see how this came about and how intuitively she works now. So, Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you, Madeline. It's so great to be here with you today.
I've been listening a little bit about your story, and I'm wondering if you can just start there with how you began in this journey of moving, I think, from the corporate world into healing and, even becoming an intuitive medium.
Sure. So it's a great question. And it was many, many moons ago, back in 1997, which feels forever and a day, but yet just yesterday. The first half of my life, I was in the senior living industry and specializing in helping residents and their families find a new sense of home, whether that was in assisted living or independent living. And I also specialized in Alzheimer's disease. So there are topics and people that are very still near and dear to my heart and always will be. I was transferred out west, climbing the corporate ladder very young. So at that time, I was in my middle 20s and was given a really great responsibility of building a new Alzheimer's unit, really researching, really doing all of the things. And coming in as a younger executive to a group of senior executives, well, as you can imagine, back in 1997, it didn't really bode well. I wasn't liked. I wasn't respected. I was just miserable. I cried every day. I would call my mentor in New England going, oh my God. And she'd be like, well, I kind of told you so. She was right. She was 100% right. And what happened one day is I was driving home and I was in a traumatic car accident. A gentleman came barreling behind me and slammed into my car. There was 6 lanes of cars, so there was nowhere to go. Like I was always, you grow up and people will tell you, look right, look left. How can you move out? There was no moving out of the way. And the fact that I saw it coming made it even worse because now you're bracing for impact. But it was so quick that it just literally spun my world around, literally. And so in that moment in time, everything changed. And it was sort of like the universe saying, we really need to help her. We need to knock her upside the head somehow, some way, because this road that she's on is not working. It was very ego-based. It was very what I was told I should do. That's all that I knew. So that's what I was doing. all my friends were having fun and I was like worried about a 401k and how was I going to buy a house at 30 and, get engaged at this year, be married at this year, 2.5K. I mean, I was like the status
Yeah.
quo of living in the 3D matrix at that point, not knowing it. And so in this moment in time, everything changed. And so I had a lot of internal soft tissue damage from the base of my skull down my spine. And with soft
Okay.
tissue damage, we're looking at cellular damage. And that's something that stays with you. Whereas a broken bone, as an example, may heal in 4 to 8 weeks or 6 months or so. When you've got that sort of trauma at a cellular level, it's really something it's almost a lifetime, right? It can peek its head when it wants to now and again. And
And is that
so
with pain? Like it is on up and down? Yeah. Okay.
it
Yeah.
can. I mean, I have a sensitive area in my SI, which will be triggered through emotions or triggered through activity now and again. So it's nothing horrible, but it just sort of
Mhm.
is a reminding spot like, hey, remember everything you've been through and how far you've come. Like, get it together, girl.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that bad. And
Right.
so during that time, thankfully, this happened when I was in Boulder, Colorado, the mecca of the holistic world at that time. And coming as a girl from Cape Cod who didn't know anything about any of this, it was like, I was in and out of doctor's offices 8 hours a day. I was seeing any
Mhm.
kind of holistic practitioner as well as traditional medical practitioners. And what it came down to was meeting a woman who specialized in Pilates rehabilitative care. And she
Okay.
really changed my world. And the instructors within her practice changed my world. And it was through them that I was able to begin a movement rehabilitation program. And so there was movement, there was breath, there was being able to release the emotions and the trauma, which was very intense. And so I rehabbed for a year. And during that time, I couldn't drive to work. I was just not with it. I would go out for a walk. I would wake up in church. Who knew how I
Mm.
got there? I was living with a really good friend at the time. She would come home. I would have rearranged the house. All the cabinets changed. There were a lot of classics of, I couldn't cognitive aspects. I would say, could I have that apple? But it was an orange. So, I mean, there was a lot
Okay.
deep trauma that transpired way deeper than, in retrospect, when I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I probably should have taken this a lot more serious, as should have the people around me. Thank goodness for the practitioners that were around me, from the psychologist to the neurologist to the massage therapist to the Reiki practitioners to everyone. And it really changed my whole world, being able to experience all that, and particularly Pilates, because Pilates brought me into my body. And even one of the practitioners, I believe it was a psychologist at the time, had said, you don't live in your body.
Mm.
I didn't understand really what he was talking about. And I
Mhm.
think at the same time, he understood that if we went down that rabbit hole, this was going to become about way more than a car accident. So we
Well,
didn't
yeah.
exactly go there, but it's
Mm.
something that later in life has really stuck out to me. And like, wow, he was so right. There was a reason I never lived in my body. And so Pilates gave me that safe place to come within and to be able to align body, mind, and spirit at a cellular level, at a physical level. And so it was just so transformative. And after the year of rehab, and my work changing and all of these other things transpiring and shifting in my corporate world, I decided that was no longer going to be for me. The company was changing. And I said, well, if there's layoffs coming, hey, just let me go, which was in a very adult decision and a very
Mm.
non-thinking time. And so that's what happened. And then I had a little brief settlement. At that time, you get a little bit of money from your car accidents, and no coincidence, it was the exact amount to go to the Pilates
Mm.
Center, which is in Boulder, which is no coincidence that it was literally in my backyard. So the universe had
Mhm.
divinely
That's
aligned all
so
of this.
interesting. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the instructors who was working with the woman who was helping me rehab had gone to the school. So at the end of it, she was the one who came up to me and said, I really think that you should do this. And I didn't think twice about it. And I went through the program with a mission of I just wanted to help one person. If I could help
Okay.
one person not be in pain, not to have to feel what I felt, then I would feel like I did something great. And now, 24 plus years later, I've been able to help thousands of people around the world, both in person and virtual, and through my on demand videos, whether that's through the Pilates or now I've expanded into somatic breathworks, Pilates,
Powerful.
which is
Yeah.
incredibly powerful. And
Yeah.
I've just been guided to keep expanding on that. And my coaching and my intuitiveness, all of my gifts that I
Yeah.
always had them, was so heightened during that time that literally my whole world changed for the better. So it was just
What
such,
that is such a story that, if I could just circle back for a sec, that I'm so curious about. Well, it sounds like you had quite a brain injury with all the cognitive stuff that was going on. And it almost sounds to me, and you can expand on this a little bit, like how Pilates seemed to give you over time, I'm guessing, enough safety in your body to actually connect with
Mhm.
yourself again in your body. Because I know for myself, being completely disconnected and disembodied at points in my life, probably, for decades. And for so many people with emotional, physical pain, or just from life, not living in their bodies. But it was actually this like traumatic incident that involved a car accident and pain that gave you the doorway to come back into your body. So I find that so incredibly interesting. And so I'm wondering, during that period of time, your gifts started to show themselves. And what was it about Pilates? And even now, I know you know that Pilates is a big part of your life and movement. How did that become the doorway to open up all this other this other part of you?
Yeah, I mean, it really was like the gateway drug, right? It was the gateway drug that, because it truly, exactly as you said so eloquently, Pilates gave me the opportunity to safely come into my body and get to know myself and get to know who I am, not who everyone else wanted me to be or projected onto me to be, which had been, from childhood up. So it really became this essence of, well, who am I? What are my passions? What do I want to do? And it really just, between coming in with the breath work and the alignment and understanding body and anatomy. And so the universe is so fabulous. I always say it will bring you things that will make sense to you. So while I love to fly off into my spiritual world, I also like things that are weighted, that are pragmatic. Like I also like black and white. And so Pilates really gave me both of those. And so I had the Pilates how would you say, to weight me down, to align me body, mind, and spirit,
Yeah.
while I was able to experience these incredible Reiki healings and acupuncture and deep therapy massages. And you go on and on. And the neurological aspect. It was, even when I look back now, I did not take it as seriously as I should have with that therapy. I definitely was like, I don't get why I have to do this. So I blew a portion of that off. But the Pilates, I never blew off. The Pilates, I stuck with. And it's not to say that I didn't have intuitive gifts pre this moment. I did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just didn't know, right? I couldn't explain that to you. But now it was just like things were so heightened. And even so, like leaning in, like it's not like I woke up one day and was like, well, I'm going to read a deck of tarot cards. I had always had some of that in me, but it was just a different essence of knowing. And then
Okay.
learning how to need to trust that, right? Like you have to lean into your intuition. You have to lean into the universe. And then you also have to try at times to not defy it, but sort of, but almost question it so you can learn to develop your trust within that. And so that car accident, what it did was it shook me up enough to bring me into the Pilates world. And then my program self said, oh, look, there's a job available for a new retirement community. I should go apply for that. And my
Right.
mentor was like, no, that's a hard no for you right now. Like, it's just not a good idea. Well, I did it anyways because that's all I knew, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I did it, and it was quite a disaster because it was in the middle of my rehab and I just mentally couldn't even handle it. And so I ended up stepping away, and through that I did some of the most incredible things I would have never done. I started to become an entrepreneur. I'd never even heard that word. I became a wedding planner for an incredible, beautiful old time restaurant there. I was a hostess with the mostest at a little Italian restaurant. I did things I had never done that probably
Mm.
normal people my age probably would have done. And so it really gave me all these, I started painting
Mm.
all these creative outlet that began just going from a world of black and white, you could say, to a
Yeah.
world of color and in awness and just really wanting to dive in. And so that's really how I learned to lean in intuitively, even as a
Okay.
business person. When I came out of school, I looked at my teachers and said, well, what are they doing? How do they do it? And I'm going to do what they do because I've learned from
Right.
them. So I'm as good as them. I didn't, and I was very confident in that moment in time. And it's been, fast forward, you and I pre hitting record had talked about some of our likes and dislikes with social media and this, that, and the other thing. And I feel it's been a bit of it's a sticky wicket. It's a sticky wicket when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
It is. It's like a love-hate
Yes,
relationship.
totally.
But in a lot of my classes, I teach that, first that to find some grounding in your body, to be actually here in your body so that you can, expand and develop other parts of yourself. And it sounds like that was kind of what was given to you. Like you need to focus on the detail because I've done Pilates a few times. I'd say like two handfuls of times. And the attention to detail is because I'm not, a detailed person. I found very empowering to start to notice these things. I can't imagine what it's like doing it for a few years, but to be able to expand out from there into all these creative parts of your life. And I know that you've talked, and a lot of your work is about being a highly sensitive person. So I understand when sensitive people or empaths kind of grasp onto something, like whether it's a job or a relationship or something that they know, even though it's not the best for them. And you were shaken out of that by the universe. Because it can be scary to start to expand your gifts and as an empath because it's so wide open.
Hmm.
But just bringing it back, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that, about how you found out that you were highly sensitive, or maybe you always knew, and how you were able to, overcome some of the roadblocks to get where you are.
Right. Well, and that's an excellent question. And I have found in my work that a lot of people don't find out, a lot of women in particular, until around 40s or 50s.
Yes,
Now,
me.
with that being said, there's a new energetic generation that's coming in who know in like instantly, which is very different. So God bless them that they're figuring it out early. But for me,
Mhm.
like there weren't words of empath or highly sensitive growing up. I knew of psychics. I don't even think I knew the word intuitive. I think I just knew the word psychic. I knew the word tarot readers, which
Yeah.
is, I didn't know any of that. I just knew that, yes, I was highly sensitive to sound, noise, taste, everything. I knew that certain things felt great and other things didn't. Being around a lot of people always exhausted me. I hate it. Being around certain people made me physically ill, but I couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain
Yeah.
it, but you know what I mean? I could not explain the
Or
aspects
you
of
start to think something's wrong with you, that you're not able to do these things that other people are
Mhm.
doing. Yeah.
Right. And so there becomes a time, and I would, majority of my clients are empaths or highly sensitive people, and majority of people have seen the same thing where they go through a phase of life where they're sort of numbing out.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize that you're numbing out is your superpower, which is your power of sensitivity, your intuition, your ability to know. And I went through that numbing out stage. And even through that stage, the universe was still working through me. They're like, well, fine, then we're going to work through you in different ways. And then that's when I can remember I was dating a guy, and we were in a bar, and his dad had just passed, and he was talking about his dad, and I looked up and I saw this picture, and all of a sudden there was like a channeled message that came through me. Now, I wouldn't have said in that moment that's what happened, but I know now
Yeah.
that's what happened. It was a channeled message from his dad, and he looked at me like, what are you talking about, and how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. Can I have another
You just
beer?
knew.
Like I just knew. And at that point there was no control. It was interesting. It was the alcohol was actually bringing it through me, which was not, I do not recommend that at
Interesting.
all.
Yeah.
But that's how it started to come through me. So I was always connected with spirit in that way. And even as a young child, like I was mesmerized with cemeteries. I loved them. You know, there was this essence of a soul family. There was an essence of history. There was just something. I always loved cemeteries. And the older, the better. It's very interesting. But it was just over time, little by little, things just kept coming out. And so it was when I moved out to Arizona is when I really knew. And so this was in my 40s. That's when it became quite clear you're an empath, you're a highly sensitive person, you are an intuitive medium, you have, you know, you're not crazy. You know, at that point, I had been giving intuitive readings and being an intuitive coach for years and years and years, but I wasn't living that. I was the Pilates trainer, but behind closed doors, I had this whole other life.
Right.
And so
it's funny how that happens. Yeah.
Right. So Pilates was like the gateway. It was a gateway of people to come to me. And then once they came to me and they knew I just knew stuff, then they wanted more from me. And so now I would say the world, it has shifted. So now it's not Pilates and it's holistic practitioner, healer, intuitive advisor, and, you know, so it's shifted quite a bit.
Yeah.
With my business and with my career. It's not the main piece anymore. It's kind of the piece that needed a break. And so it's in the back now. And I think anybody that's an entrepreneur knows that. Like your business always shifts and one thing is going to shift one way and another way. And so for me right now, that's where, and I would say in the last, I don't know, 7 years, that it's been increments of this shift happening. And I've been fighting it. Oh, I've been fighting it because I didn't understand.
Oh, tell me about that. Yeah. Have you kind of put it aside and just don't, this is what I'm doing?
Well, because it was easy for me. It's very easy to be a Pilates instructor. People know me as a Pilates instructor. My name is Jennifer Pilates. That's what people know me as. They still call and they'll be like, Pilates. You know, so it was always an easy way to lean in and it was a very easy way to make a living. But I was no longer satisfied. My soul wasn't being fed as much as it was at one time. It was becoming a job. It was becoming a way to make a living. And so I was enjoying my moments where I was doing my readings and my healings and my coaching, which coaching and readings are really the same thing. That was lighting up my soul and seeing the transformation that people were making in those moments. Like that became my new, ooh, I love this. Pilates is great and I love it and it's amazing. And everybody needs it, but now it's being fed through these clients, through readings and through coaching, because now we bring the movement in through it, because everybody has something that's stagnated. Everybody has imposter syndrome to some extent. Everyone has these limiting beliefs. And so now when I package everything, it encompasses everything. Because what I found over the years was I love astrology and I love to know about myself, but I don't need to be an astrologer, right? Like I just know that I'm not called to be an astrologer, but I'm a numerology, love it, have studied it, amazing. Okay, great. Human design, love it, amazing, have studied it, great. Pilates, got it down pat, don't need to, I'm good there. Reiki, amazing, studied, fabulous. All breath work, amazing. Somatic work, amazing. So what I've tried to do is look and say, all these years I had to go here, there, and everywhere to find this person or that person to get my answers that I never knew. And then some people will be like, well, how did you never know you were supposed to protect yourself from energy? And I'm like, how would you? There was no 101 book. And so what my programs encompass when I work with someone is that it's everything. You don't know who you are until you know who you are. And until you meet yourself at that soul level, you don't know who you are. Like you may have your birth date. So you know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
But do you know the personal year cycle that you're in? Because you may be trying to start a business this year and this is not the year to do it. And so you could be, pushing up against a wall that is not going to move, thinking it's your fault and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really like to bring people back to the core and the essence of who they are, why they're here, what is their real mission, and what have they been doing that they're already in aligned with,
Mm.
and what needs to shift ever so slightly, because most times it's ever so slightly. And for most of my clients, and I'm sure maybe you've picked this up too, 40 plus, that's that essence of there's got to be something more to life than this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's because there is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about going through perimenopause or menopause or any of this. It's not. It's because you are truly coming into your own. And that's what I want women to know. Like, you're coming into who you are at your essence. And that's what I help people work on to get to, so that this next adventure is better than anything you've ever experienced. That transformation, that empowerment, that self-confidence, it's amazing when you can live from that spot.
What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you, and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again.
I just love that. And it's so exciting when you realize that your past beliefs and what you feel like you should do doesn't have to be that way. And that life does not stop here. There's a multitude of expressions of you just waiting to happen. But I also like when you have this wide array of tools at your fingertips, I'm imagining that you can just start where whatever resonates with someone, and starting from there, what does light them up? And you might bring in Pilates, you might bring in Reiki or whatever it might be, and help them to expand from there, which just sounds so whole and human to me.
Well, isn't it nice to have something where someone actually looks at you as a whole human, not
Yes.
just as a personality test?
Yeah.
Which is going to tell you something, but you've got to keep digging and get to the essence of who you are. And so it's interesting that you say, oh, you must start with something that resonates with the person. And generally, yes, but you know what? Sometimes guides will say no. You have to push that person into expansion. So generally speaking, it will be a convert. We won't even start with any of that other stuff. We just start with a simple conversation, which is really an intuitive reading, which is really Reiki healing, clearing, and cleansing. And I just had this happen the other day with a client. She came in for a reading, and it was even a quick one. It was just the 30 minutes. And I said, look, 30 minutes with me is like an hour with the average bear. You'll be fine. We did a reading, and I said to her, look, and this is for anybody, anytime I work with someone, the amount of healing that goes on through my voice to you with what we're working on will last within the coming days. And you will notice increased confidence, and you will notice this, I am really special. Like, how dare you mess with me? Like, you just had this new sense of empowerment. Well, this client was like, yeah. Well, she came back and she was like, oh my God, my world has changed. That was 24 hours later. By 3 days later, she had quantum leaped energetically. And when we speak of quantum leaping, there are different timelines. And you truly, if you turn left, that's a timeline. If you turn right, that's a timeline. She quantum leaped so much. It was amazing. Like, she was amazed. And I was like, well, but now things really change in your world, because things that may have been there that were alignment with who you were 3 days ago, that's not who you are today.
Yeah.
So aren't in alignment. And so that's when I say, you want to talk about transformation and empowerment at a lightning bolt speed. It's amazing. And I think that's what I just love it so much. I just love, because I feel like I was like put through trials and tormented for years and years and years and years. And here I am guiding people to do this in days, months, which took me decades and years to get to that place. And that is really special to be able to help people.
That is very special, you know, to be able to take from what you've learned and from the old ways of kind of plodding along, you know, year after year, trying to figure stuff, hitting your head on the wall and or having a car accident, to be able to bring that energy into people now at an accelerated rate, which the times that we're in, and see that transformation just go. And like you say, just through the transmission of energy in your voice. And so working in these areas of energy now as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, I'm wondering what you would say to, you know, some of the listeners who feel very um, discombobulated is the feeling, that the word that's coming up for me in these times as a highly sensitive person. And you know, I know that one of your strengths is helping sensitive people, sensitive clients, women, to embrace their sensitivities as their strengths. And I'm wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about that and how you do that so that they can protect themselves, I guess.
Right. So first I want to say you're normal. If you are feeling the ups and the downs and the all around and like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted one moment, the next moment I have so much energy, I've just cleaned the house and I'm ready to go to Bali. You're completely normal. You are encompassing you are encompassing a spiritual awakening. And for me personally, they generally they're never like, oh, hi, we're here. They're like, hello. I have never met one that wasn't like King Kong coming in to make an impact.
Sweep the house clean.
Always. Like for me, that is just always the way. It is all, it is nothing. And going back to my birth chart and to my numerology and to my human design, it plainly says that. Like I am all or nothing girl. And my mission on earth is to find that balance. And so, you know, for anybody that is feeling everything right now, the energies are so intense with what we have going on. And when we speak of energies, we're talking about the collective energy of what people are thinking, feeling, speaking. That is just batshit crazy. And then we have the actual energies, the electromagnetic field, the energies from the sun, the sunspots, the X flares, the M flares, and you can Google, and I won't go too deep into it, but these are all affecting everyone. And I think that something that I didn't learn along the way, I will say this is something, and maybe someone will resonate with this. When I didn't know anything about being a spiritual human being, I knew more and I protected myself more and I was more confident than when I first realized that's who I was. I became scared and I gave my power away, meaning I gave my power away. People said wear crystals. I had crystals from head to toe in my bra, anywhere I could, thinking that was going to protect me. Yeah. I was always guided looking for an outside source, where the reality is you are your own protector. You have the power. And again, that's what I really help women to see, because I went through years of giving up my power, whether that was to crystal or to sage or to whatever it is. It's not to say that I don't wear crystals now or that I don't burn sage now. I absolutely do. But I do it from a place of empowerment of why I'm doing it, not because I'm looking at it because it's has the power. And I would say that's the biggest thing. And knowing that you have the power within you. You have the power. If you are in a house and you are living there and you were like, I know there are spirits here. I know this is not great. I can't get out. You have the power to ask them to leave, and they have to leave. I want someone to know that, right? Like, you have the power that if you're sitting in a room and you are uncomfortable, you have the right to get up, to excuse yourself, to go to the bathroom and simply wash your hands. That is a cleansing and a clearing of energy. If you suddenly feel better and then you go and you walk back into that room, congratulations on being a highly sensitive empath. And now knowing that your nervous system is telling you something's not right here. Yeah. Something's not right.
And to listen to it.
And to listen to that and to lean into that. And don't try to figure it out. Just leave. You don't know what it's about at that point in time. On the early stages of our journey, we don't always know, and that's okay. Later on, you probably kind of know. Yeah. It's just so, like, I just want people to know how empowered they are. And so that really is the essence of where I bring people through the transformation, so that, and the transformation part is knowing who you are today and aligning through transformation with the essence of your soul, which brings you to being empowered within. Hey there, preparedness champions. Are you ready to safeguard your future with the ultimate survival gear? Meet My Patriot Supply, your one-stop shop for all things emergency preparedness. From long-lasting food storage to top-notch survival gear to my favorite, water filtration, we've got you covered. Imagine having peace of mind knowing you're ready for anything: natural disasters, power outages, or even unexpected events. With My Patriot Supply, you can build a robust emergency plan and protect your loved ones. Don't wait for the unexpected. Act now. Visit jenniferpilates.com and prepare with confidence. Your future self will thank you. Gear up today. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to shop My Patriot Supply along with all of our partners.
I love that. And that's the name of your podcast. Mm-hmm. I think that is such an important point, especially right now, to remember how actually powerful we are. And to notice, like you say, when you're in a room, are you feeling comfortable, uncomfortable, and tune into your nervous system. It is really the ground zero of where this all starts flowing. And, when we feel, especially being sensitive, that you're pulled here and you're pulled there, to come back to remembering that you have this power is such an important message right now for women and for highly sensitive women. So thank you for that. I'm wondering, before we wrap up today, and you talk a little bit about where people can find you, and I know you've got a gift for our listeners, which is just awesome. Is there any part of this, about this mind, body, soul healing connection, that you'd just like to tell us more about? Anything that has been really important for you, might, help people, help women, particularly at our age, 40, 50, 60. I didn't find out I was a midwife, an empath, until I was, I think, like early 50s. It became very obvious to me that I had a completely different experience than all of my siblings. And I didn't know it until that point. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people now are discovering this. And so I'm just wondering if there's anything else that you'd like to offer to our listeners about that, from your own experience of overcoming so much.
Right. I would say, first, have grace with yourself. This is a marathon. This is school of earth. You are here to learn. This is not for the faint of heart. It is such a blessing. I know in the beginning, and every empath will say it, every highly sensitive person will say, I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse. And I want you to understand that this is the most incredible superpower of a gift that you've been given, because not everyone has it. And if you've been given the gift, then I would surely hope that you would sit back and want to ponder why. Which would then bring you to, what am I really here to do? Who am I really here to help? And what are the lessons and blessings that I'm getting out of it all? And when you can sort of sit back and detach yourself from the 3D world, from the everyday moments and the emotions of the world and the collective, and you can just have that moment with yourself, you are going to have such an empowering awe moment that in and of itself will begin to change your life. And I'll be so proud of you for taking that moment and journal it. And even if you do nothing with it, not that day, not that month, maybe not that year, that's okay. But acknowledge it, and acknowledge how special you are, because you are special. And you have, if you are a highly sensitive person or an empath, you have been through hell and back again. I have no doubt in my mind. If you are in your 40s and your 50s, it has not been easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be easy, but I will say it can be incredibly empowering. And when you come into yourself and your soul's essence as you move forward, things may come to try to stick to you, but they just kind of fall to the wayside. Nothing
Mhm.
touches you like it did before because you now have embraced your powers.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that acknowledgement of this path that through usually, yes, like you say, it's been quite a journey, not easy, but I so agree with you. And I have a belief that our future leaders are going to be these highly sensitive, powerful people, because who else has the gift of being able to tune in to so
Mhm.
many different people, places, things at the same time, and has
Mhm.
this expanded awareness when you start, as you did, as being grounded and being able to expand out from there. So
Right.
it can be exciting times.
It is. And I have to touch on this. I love that you just brought that in because I want people to know and to remember this. Every person of power, wherever they are, whether it's the manager of the supermarket or whether it's the president of the United States, they all have people that advise them. And they have astrologers and they have intuitive people. And I literally just had this conversation with someone the other day. I said, because she goes, well, who do you work with? And I said, if you knew who I worked with and you knew who came to me for questions and answers, your head would spin. It would spin.
Yeah.
I have worked
Right.
with high political profile people. I have worked with princesses and
Celebrities.
princes. Oh, celebrities are just a given, right? Like, that's to me, that's like nothing. But when you're looking at high profile political figures and world leaders and things like that, because they're smart. If you look, President Reagan and Nancy
Yeah.
had their own astrologer. They weren't secretive of that by any means. These are smart, strategic people who know if I don't have the gift to do A, B, and C, I'm going to surround myself with the people that do. And so
Right.
exactly as what you're saying, we have that going on right now. We also do have gifted people in certain places. It's
Mm.
just that they don't, not everybody wants to go, hi, I'm intuitive, or hi, I'm a healer. They would rather come at it as I'm a massage therapist or
Mm. Yes.
or I'm a mental health practitioner. There are lots of hidden healers, I call them, everywhere,
Right. Right.
everywhere. So don't be afraid,
Yeah.
because
We're
every
everywhere.
we're everywhere. We truly, the light is everywhere. The light has taken over and the light has won. So yeah.
Thank you for that reminder also for people that it is not, it is far from doom and gloom. And even though it might look like that on the 3D surface point of view, but behind the scenes forever throughout history, and I actually never thought about that before, leaders consult spiritual advisors,
Mhm.
astrologers, etc. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. For
So that's
centuries.
for
Yeah.
centuries.
For centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing new. I
Right.
mean, think back to medicine women.
Mm-hmm.
Who,
Mm-hmm.
who was saving the population? The women who were out working with the herbs.
Yeah.
So it's just it's all in a label.
Yeah.
And I just say, don't be put in a box. If you look at me or you go to my website, I do a lot of things and I'm not just one thing and I won't just accept a label. That took 2 decades to
Mm.
understand that and to find that true empowerment in myself. And I stumbled and I fell, but I kept crawling my way because I was guided to and because I knew I had
Mm-hmm.
something to share and something that was going to impact more people and help people along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you certainly have. And sometimes it can feel like just following that one little piece of grass in a field. Like, I'm just going to follow that one
Yeah.
and then that one. So, yeah. And so now I'm sure if you could talk back to your 20-year-old self, you probably have a few things to say to her and about where you're at now, who she could probably never see where you could be. I know,
Yeah.
right? I
It brings me
know.
to tears. It
Yeah.
does. It brings me to tears because that poor girl, oh my God, that poor girl.
Yeah. And how could she have known? How could she see? But yet, for our listeners, as we wrap up, just staying in tune with that light inside of you that has never dimmed and it will never dim, and to keep following it through these times, through any times. Oh, my dog is coming close to me now.
Oh,
Look at that. What do
somebody
you
wants some
sense going on?
healing. Somebody wants some
Sensitive.
healing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true. And don't dim your light for anyone because that's the biggest mistake that you'll make. That's giving up your power. And when we speak of power, I'm not talking ego. I'm talking about the powerful essence of who you are.
Yeah. The true power.
The true power. Yeah. So anyone that would love to continue the conversation, please head over to jenniferpilates.com and see what resonates with you, whether that's a reading or whether that's coaching or breath work, whatever it may be, or just a question. I would love to chat. And if there is a service that resonates with you for today, all you have to do is mention the podcast name and you will receive 20% off your service as my gift to you.
Thank you so much. So we'll leave all the links below the podcast, and just go to Jennifer's website, and just don't forget to, message Jennifer and mention Woman Fully Alive, the date of the podcast, for 20% off. Oh, thank you so much for that generous offer for all of our listeners. And so, Jennifer, I really want to thank you for our time together and for just, exploring with us and navigating this path of being a highly sensitive person in this world, and what the possibilities are for us, what the possible outcomes can be. Because I think we need to have people who have been through this and have come out the other side to remind us of what is possible for our own lives, particularly for women around midlife. That to keep going, because your best is like around the corner.
So true. So true. Beautifully said. And thank you so much for having me today. I'm very honored to have been here and shared this time with you and your community.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. Hey there, wellness lovers. Are you ready to transform your fitness journey? Dive into my on-demand Pilates fusion workouts and meditations. Imagine blending the best of Pilates, yoga, and mindful meditation all at your fingertips. Get strong, flexible, and zen anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Head over to jenniferpilates.com for your special exclusive subscription discount. Don't miss out on this ultimate fusion experience. Elevate your body, your mind, and your spirit today. Let's move and meditate together. Hey, beautiful souls. Are you ready to elevate your health and wellness journey? Join my Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness private community on Facebook. Imagine having a supportive tribe where you can connect, share, and grow together. Receive exclusive access to holistic health tips, empowering workshops, all designed to help you thrive. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. Don't miss out on this transformational experience. Empower your mind, body, and spirit today. Let's embark on this journey together. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. I'll see you there.